talking about inclusive education. It's how do we make sure everybody's in, everybody has a place, and that they are participating. How we do that is something that we're constantly learning because it's a big challenge for us.
Sekolah ini mempunyai pendidikan khas banyak 5 kelas yang diketuai oleh Encik Muhammad Azani Syam bin Muhammad Ali sebagai penolong kerana pendidikan khas, dibantu oleh seramai 6 guru dan 4 pembantu pengurusan murid, di mana majoritinya adalah murid bermasalah pembelajaran. Lahir daripada program contohnya Linus, mana ada murid yang didapati slow learner ataupun bermasalah pembelajaran, kita akan terima untuk ditempatkan di SK Jangkanaru. Untuk pelajar-pelajar pendidikan khas ini, kita perlukan buat saringan. Jadi apabila dia telah mencapai tahap yang kita putuskan, dia boleh dimasukkan dalam kelas inklusif, barulah kita akan masukkan kelas inklusif. Bagi yang tak mencapai tahap, dia akan teruskan dalam kelas pendidikan khas.
Layanan guru dan rakan-rakan saya sangat baik. Mereka membantu saya dari segi pembelajaran, dari segi keperluan saya. Sekolah ada sediakan tandas OKU khas untuk saya. Sangat mudahlah sebab saya boleh pergi ke sana. Kalau saya tak faham apa-apa, cikgu boleh cuba terangkan kepada saya. Lepas tu, diorang banyak memberi semangat untuk saya terus belajar dan terus belajar.
Untuk program pendidikan inklusif ini, kita buat secara menyeluruh dalam tempoh 3 tahun. Untuk sebarang ni dia ada paling kurang 3 mata pelajaran. Ada yang mampu BM, ambil BM, ada yang matematik, ambil matematik. Bagi yang tak boleh akademik, kita inklusifkan dia dengan co-curriculum dan sukan. Untuk unit uniform, kita masukkan dia dalam pasukan pengakap. Ambil rencana pergi berkemah ke aktiviti sama macam budak berdana. Tapi waktu co-curriculum dan waktu sukan saja.
Sebagai guru aliran perdana, saya membantu murid-murid pendidikan khas ni dengan secara bimbingan secara individu. Kemudian kita akan bawa dia bergaul bersama-sama murid aliran perdana supaya dia tak rasa diri dia terpencil atau dipinggirkan. Mereka melibatkan diri sama rata dari segi koko, dari segi uniform. Kita layan dia seperti pelajar-pelajar yang normal. Pembelajaran dia akan bertambah bagus dan dia akan dapat menjadi seorang yang berkeyakinan dalam diri dia.
Introduction. In 2001, the South African government introduced a strategy to develop inclusive education. White Paper Number 6 recognized that the apartheid years had left South Africa with a legacy of discrimination and negative attitudes towards difference and diversity. Many South African children, including many disabled children, were not receiving high-quality education. The 2001 census identified at least 300,000 disabled children of school age who were not in school at all. The government acknowledged that the development of inclusive schools was vital to the provision of equality of opportunity for all learners. Following White Paper Number 6, 30 of the 80 school districts in South Africa were chosen to develop inclusive education. In each district, one school was identified to become a full-service school and to lead on the development of good inclusive practice. Each full-service school has an institutional or school-based support team. These teams work closely with their district support team to make all areas of school life accessible to disabled learners. In each of the 30 districts, one special school was also selected to become a resource base to support the inclusion of disabled children in surrounding mainstream schools. Many districts have now greatly increased the number of schools that they are supporting to develop inclusive education. In 2007, the South African government ratified the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and made the commitment that all schools would be working inclusively by 2019. South Africa is also working towards the Millennium Development Goal, which requires that all children have full primary education by 2015. In early 2008, the South African government invited Disability Equality in Education to run inclusive education seminars and to film inclusive practice in South African schools. Filming took place in 10 primary schools within 4 provinces: Gauteng, Mpumalanga, the Eastern Cape and the Western Cape. The 10 schools include both resourced full-service primary schools and some schools that are developing inclusive practice using their existing staff and resources. Filming took place in classes as they were happening. The intention was to share ideas about good practice. This DVD is divided into 3 main sections: ethos and culture, teaching, and support structures. These 3 areas were all key to the development of good practice in the schools visited. We hope you'll find many ideas here to inspire you and to support your school to develop inclusive education.
Inclusive education. This is a system in which children with and without disabilities learn and play together. The Association of People with Disability, or APD as it's more commonly known, is invested in the spread of inclusive education since 1972. Its very own Shraddhanjali Integrated School at its headquarters in Lingarajpuram, Bangalore is a prime example with 80% specially able children. APD has facilitated various model schools across remote districts of Karnataka to expand the reach of the inclusive education program. The goal is to ensure no child with special needs is excluded from an education. The inclusive education program aims for comprehensive, quality education and skill building of the children. In model schools, children with special needs study in the same classrooms as their able-bodied peers, though provisions are made to address their unique needs. Physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy are given to the children as needed. Children with hearing impairment are supported with sign language. Audio-visual technology is also used to improve understanding and retention. For children with severe disabilities, APD's community teams support with education, therapy, and capacity building of the caregivers at their very homes. APD also provides extensive capacity building for the school teachers, peers, parents and siblings to develop an inclusive ecosystem for the progress of the children.
Saya ingin Tony bisa main-main sama anak yang lain, bisa mandiri.
Madrasah kami, MI NW Tanah Beak, mulai menerima siswa ABK tahun 2008. Pada saat itu, anak-anak ABK tidak diterima di sekolah negeri atau SDN yang ada di Desa Tanah Beak ini. Dan pada waktu itu, kami belum tahu cara mendidik atau memberikan pelajaran kepada mereka. Kami perlakukan dan mengajar mereka sama dengan siswa yang biasa.
Adanya anak-anak yang ABK ini, kita mau tidak mau selaku masyarakat harus bertanggung jawab, dalam artian bahwa anak-anak kita ini kena anak bangsa. Mau kita apakan? Apakah harus kita menerima keadaannya seperti itu tanpa ada kita melakukan perubahan?
Bulan September tahun 2015, kami dari MI NW Tanah Beak dipercaya oleh Kemitraan Pendidikan Australia Indonesia sebagai salah satu proyek uji coba penyelenggaraan madrasah inklusif di Indonesia bersama 20 madrasah lainnya.
Mentoring yang kami lakukan di madrasah itu diawali dengan program yang disebut dengan sosialisasi. Jadi komite sekolah, guru-guru, kepala sekolah, dan sebagainya. Selanjutnya mereka mengimplementasikan di madrasah, yang mana kami mendampingi dan menguasai, memberi masukan-masukan tentang rute daripada pendidikan inklusi itu. Antara lain, etapnya adalah sosialisasi, identifikasi, asesmen, penempatan, pembuatan program pembelajaran individual, dan seterusnya kembali lagi pada asesmen.
Nah, di sini kami dengan mengadakan pelatihan, pendampingan itu ternyata oh iya begini ya cara penanganannya. Oh ternyata tidak seberat yang kita bayangkan.
Ketika kami, terutama guru-guru itu sudah mendapatkan pelatihan, ditambah lagi ada monitoring, ada perubahan cara kami mengajar di madrasah ini, terutama terhadap anak-anak yang berkebutuhan khusus itu. Bagi anak yang BK di indikatornya yang diturunkan. Kalau anak yang normal itu biasanya bisa menyebut angka dari 1 sampai 100. Tapi untuk ABK itu cukup dari 1 sampai 10. Kalau tadinya kami marah-marah, akhirnya ya alhamdulillah sekarang kami tahu caranya bagaimana menghadapi mereka.
Itu yang jadi dasar kita bahwa anak-anak kita ini adalah anak bangsa yang perlu kita berikan pembelajaran sehingga nanti di saat dia dewasa mungkin ada harapannya untuk bisa mandiri, untuk bisa mengetahui, menambah pengetahuan sehingga tidak terkungkung di dalam rumahnya saja. Pendidikan inklusi nonsen tanpa pelibatan penyandang disabilitas. Artinya penyandang disabilitas itu jangan hanya diposisikan sebagai objek, tapi juga dia sebagai subjek, pelaku dari program itu sendiri. Itu baru hakiki daripada pendidikan inklusi.
Main bola, main kejar-kejaran, main raket. Saya anggap mereka bukan teman yang ABK, tapi teman yang sangat istimewa.
Semangat, belajar, yes!
Kalau kamu bisa mengatakan dirimu normal, maka aku bisa membuktikan diri tidak memiliki keterbatasan.
Could you tell us a little bit more about your school? I notice all these signs around that say, all are welcome.
We had an assembly about all are welcome, meaning no matter how we look like and what we do to express ourselves, we all are welcome here in this school together.
We have one grade 6 boy. He's been in our classes since the beginning of kindergarten. He has autism, and I know what makes him upset and then what calms him more down.
You know, in Singapore we have very different schools for learners like that, so they are not in the same classrooms as their typically developing peers.
I think that's actually very interesting because I've never heard of that because here we don't do that.
Back in the late 1940s, early 1950s, the only option for education to people with disabilities, and I use the word education loosely there, was Woodland School. In the 1950s, 7 family groups gathered, and their primary motivation at that time was having their loved ones come out of Woodland School to receive education in their neighborhoods. As the family's expectations for the people that they love shifted, and we were able to drive similar policy shifts here in British Columbia. From that point on, the journey of deinstitutionalization began. It really picked up steam in about the 1970s and 80s. It was still in a very segregated model at that time. But at least that environment was nestled within the community rather in a separate institution.
When we first moved to inclusion, there was resistance, both from the general education schools and from segregated schools, because it was a new change. So we didn't move everybody all at once. We worked with those people who really wanted it, and then gradually shrunk our special education school until it was closed completely. By the beginning of 2000, there were no special education public schools left in the province of BC.
Yeah, finished. Very. Which one says finished?
Great job.